I'm sure memories from daycare for most of you are very warm. You were playing stupid but fun games with your friends, chilling and just having fun. The time when you got to enjoy the life, playing with other kids, being well fed, having a day nap. It's a dream to all of us to return in that time and not to worry about adult things. However, many of you might also have bad memories about your daycare experience. Maybe the workers weren't as good as you would like them to be, maybe some kids were little jerks, and maybe sometimes the food was just awful there. In this video, I'll tell you about my horrible experience and some wild stories from my daycare. But before that, let me briefly tell you about the drawing you're seeing in the background. The character I'm drawing is Amy Snyder. She's the daughter of a witch and has the ability to see the future in her cigarette smoke. If you want to learn more about the characters and stories I work on, let me know in the comments. And now let's get into it. So I've been drawing for my entire life. Ever since I learned how to hold a pencil, drawing was my main hobby as a kid. When I was at the daycare, I would spend almost all the time drawing different stuff. At that time, I liked to redraw pictures from different Disney cartoons. And I don't want to brag, but among all the other kids my age, I was clearly the best artist there. Many other kids often asked me to draw something for them, and I was really happy to do that. So one day, I found a coloring book with Snow White and decided to redraw one of the pictures from it. I spent much time and dedication on the drawing, and when it was finally done, I was very proud of myself. I loved that picture so much that I decided to put it in my locker to keep it safe until I can take it home with me. Now, the lockers we had didn't actually have a lock, so basically anyone could open yours and take your stuff. In my group, there was this little jerk guy who often did bad things to other kids to have fun, and he happened to see how carefully I was hiding my drawing so that no one could destroy it. At that time, we had like a gathering with the two of our caregivers, and the gathering was right next to the lockers. We were all sitting on chairs around the carpet, and suddenly, this guy stands up, looks at me with an evil smile, comes to my locker, opens it, takes my beautiful drawing, and tears it apart right in front of me, only to throw the pieces to the trash bucket. And all that time the caregivers were around, saw it, and didn't say anything to him. Of course, I started crying, trying to get that jerk punched for what he'd done. But the caregivers said, "Well, that happens sometimes, don't be sad." Are you serious? Don't be sad? I spent so much dedication on this work and was so proud of it, and when it's torn apart, you're just saying don't be sad? That was a big tragedy to me. And that guy just got away with that. I'll never forget it. Anyway, let's move on to the next story. You know, for the most part, I liked everything that we had for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But that one thing that everyone absolutely hated, the fish casserole. Oh my god, that is the most disgusting thing I have ever tried in my entire life. And all the other kids shared this opinion. This is the most stinky and gross food you can ever have. Alright, things will get really gross in a minute, so I warned you. That one evening, we had the fish casserole for dinner. The entire room was smelly, which only made things worse for us. All of us refused to eat it, but the caregivers would simply not let us out of the table until we finish it. So we had to just sit there being suffocated by the smell and wait until somehow it's all over. The caregivers even forced some kids to eat it, which made them throw up right in the plates. After that, they were allowed to go though. So what do you think when you see all of that? The only way to escape the nightmare is to throw up? But for that, you would have to force yourself to eat at least a bit. And that idea did not seem good. And so we were sitting there waiting for our parents to come and save us from this nightmare. As the smell of the puke earlier was added to the fish's smell, it became almost impossible not to puke now just because of the freaking smell. More kids started throwing up and it got really stinky there. I was already nauseous, but thankfully I did not have to puke as well. My mom came before that happened, and oh god, that was the happiest moment of my entire childhood. You have no idea how happy I was to leave that mess. Thankfully it was over for me. My mom saved me and took me away from there. I did not have to eat a single piece of that shitty food. Yeah, that is a happy end. But don't get too comfortable, the next story is gonna be the wildest. Honestly, I don't even remember much of what happened, just because apparently the experience was so traumatizing that my brain just decided to delete it from my memory. Because two people one day told me about that. My daycare friend who was there, and my mom. So what happened, you may ask? I don't exactly remember why, but something made me really sad, and so I just started crying my eyes out. That one caregiver who was there tried to calm me down at first, but it didn't seem to help me, and I just kept crying and crying. The caregiver was my favorite, by the way, for some reason. I gotta mention that. After that, she got annoyed by me and started talking to me rudely, which made me mad, and so I started crying even more, now being louder because I apparently wanted some help, but instead I hear something like, "If you don't shut up right now, you better not know what I will do to you." It did not make me scared. On the contrary, I wanted to show her just how mad I was at her, and that I will not be a good girl when she's not a good caregiver. I was so emotional that I forgot what I initially started crying about at that point, and my cry was now more of a scream. Now, I do understand that I probably was very annoying, but it's not a reason for her to force me on a chair and shut me up with a freaking scotch tape. Can you even imagine that? You come to the daycare to take your little daughter home, and you see her sitting on the chair crying with a scotch tape on her mouth. The caregiver had to apologize profusely to my mom. Hell, if you know you can't deal with kids crying and you don't know how to calm them down, work in a daycare should be forbidden for you. Sometimes it seems like people like her get this kind of job just so that they could torture little kids and express their anger. Yes, kids can be very annoying sometimes, and yes, you can feel like you want to throw them away. But you should never actually do that. If you're annoyed by kids, never go work to a daycare or a school. Is that so difficult? Moral of the story, daycares can suck, I guess.